Alrighty guys, welcome back to another video. So I've been getting a few comments lately on like, how do I gear this person? How do I use gear? What roles do you have? Like what gear set's best, etc, etc. So I wanted to do just a bit of a, I suppose like, not a back to basics video, but like a video kind of just covering gear, equipment, who to put on what to put where, what roles to have, what scenarios you'd want what, and just kind of cover it all from top to bottom for you guys, and hopefully it'll help, you know, a few of the people that maybe might be newer. Had a few people that are new, which is awesome, getting into the game, so hopefully the game is, touch wood, not dying just yet. Yeah, I wanted to cover it all today, so we're going to go through kind of where equipment goes and why, when it goes where, what the roles are, different scenarios, etc, etc, right? So let's go pick someone that I can. I'm just going to remove gear for. Let's go all the way to here. Let's just use this hero, right? So basically, in short, you've got 6 gear slots, as you guys hopefully all know by now, right? Now, gearing will make your hero tankier. It'll make them do more damage. It'll make them have certain unique kind of assets for certain fights. So gearing your heroes effectively is super important. Now you have, I guess, it's bracelet, ring, earrings, necklace, belt, and rune, right? So the 6 pieces, they're kind of divided in a couple of different ways. So you have your top pieces. Now these top pieces will always have things to do with attack rolls, right? So what this means is when you go to change their stats, they'll have the ability to be attack, pierce, crit chance, crit damage. Those are the 4 different things. So those top pieces are everything to do with attack-related stats. Next, these middle pieces are everything to do with defense-related stats, right? So you've got here resistance, defense, crit resistance. That's all the middle pieces. Then those bottom pieces will be everything to do with HP. So recovery rate, life steal, HP, regeneration rate, all those things, right? So these are attack pieces, these are defense pieces, and then these are HP pieces. So when you're equipping them, that'll be how it works with those roles. Now, when it comes to actual gear, you'll be able to find out what the general gear sets are. If you click into it, it'll tell you whether it's a 2-set piece, whether it's a 4-set piece, and those are kind of really the only options you have, right? It's either a 2-set piece or a 4-set piece. Now, the way that obviously works is quite nicely. You can have 4 of one and 2 of the other, right? So the most common ones you guys will always see is HP defense, which is like here. All right, so you'll run HP defense. Another quite common one you will see will be attack crit, right? And that's for damage units. So you have attack pieces, then crit middle pieces. Now, whereabouts you place these pieces doesn't really matter, right? As long as you have 4 of one and 2 of the other, that'll give you the HP defense. So this could be here, this could be here. It doesn't really matter. For OCD people and also for Unity, it's quite good to have these pieces in the middle. It's also quite good to have consistency with having these pieces in the middle. Like, so for example, these defense pieces will have defense rolls, right? Now, what that means is when you get to a point where you want to change gear out, you'll be able to do it a little bit easier. So for example, if I look at my barn, where is it here? Now, I've got these in different positions, and I'll explain a little bit more in detail of that later. But like, for example, if I want to change that to HP defense, I can. And if I do, those 2 pieces are in the same. So that actually means I can change out these 2 pieces for, say, HP crit, right? Or I want to run attack defense. I can put these attack pieces on, and I can put the defense pieces here. So having them in the same spot for heroes makes a lot of difference. Well, not a lot of difference, but it'll really help you in long term in terms of how you gear those units, right? Cool. So obviously you can also level up these different units, right? Different pieces. So you can go enhance, and you can level these all the way up to level 5 plus level 5. Once you do that, you'll then have the ability to engrave pieces, which is, as you can see, it's Barn's Congeality Ring, so it gives you additional attack when equipping it to Barn. So you really want to do this for a lot of your main units. So like things like Barn, Escanor, Meliodas, Liz, all the heroes that have lots of units are really important, and all those heroes that you'll have a lot. So for example, Deanne, I actually don't have her gear on her. Here we go. So Deanne, you want to engrave the gear. So that's kind of how that works. Now, also, side note, I am jumping around a little bit potentially. I am doing this just off the top of my head. I haven't got a script or anything to follow, so if we jump around a little bit, I do apologize. Okay, so let's go back to here. Let's just go back and use this unit. So you've got your different pieces. right? You know what each of them do and what the roles are. Like I said, you can start off with just a basic piece, and then once you level it up, it'll give you the option to actually re-roll those pieces, right? So basically, 1 star on these will give you the ability to re-roll 1 level, and then all the way up to once you have 5 stars, you can re-roll all levels. Now, how do you want to re-roll them, right? It's pretty straightforward. 9 times out of 10, you want to re-roll these to attack, defense, HP, right? That is basically what's going to give you the most amount of CC and is going to be the most beneficial to your units, right? So if I come up to here and I look at Deanne, for example, I have attack pieces here, I have defense pieces here, and then I have HP defense pieces here. So when I go in and I click on this and I go repeated change and I adjust this to where I want it to be, and then this will consume anvils. Don't do diamonds, never diamonds. This will consume anvils to re-roll to the right level. Now, obviously, I'm not going to re-roll these because this is at perfect level, but you want to be able to re-roll these as high as you can. I like 2.2. Some people like 2.5. You can start off with 2 if you're really just beginning. It really doesn't matter, but basically, you want to have these re-rolled until you have HP, defense, and attack. And same thing with these pieces. You can use anvils to re-roll these pieces. Unfortunately, you can't hammer these pieces. And what I mean by that is these guys will all have 15, but no, 13%. Cool. So once you've re-rolled to a certain level, you can actually use 5 hammers, which I've got 484, to hammer them higher. Right, so that'll start pushing it up. So obviously, ideally, the end goal is you get everyone to 15%, because that's the highest you can have on all of them. But that takes a lot of hammers, and also, again, that then will depend on what rolls you decide to do. Right, so these are all at 2.5 or higher. Maybe you want to adjust this up to 2.8. That'll use a lot of anvils, though, because of the RNG that's involved. Because you're looking at one specific, you're looking at defense, you're not looking at resistance, you're not looking at crit resistance, you're looking at crit defense, you're looking at defense, and you're looking at a really high percentage. So that's your chance of rolling that is going to consume a lot of anvils. So there's a balancing act there. Like I said, I like 2.2, and then I use a few anvils to hammer it back up to 3. Sometimes you get lucky and they roll higher, but that's kind of my sweet spot that I like. So that's how you'll start off with it. So let's say, okay, cool, we have Fraudrin, right? You can obviously also use these. You'll collect these as you go along playing the game and stuff. These are basically just empty equipments that you can use for anything, right? So let's say I want to gear this particular unit with attack crit, right? And I have these pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go an attack piece. I'm going to go an attack piece. Right, so there's 2 of my 4 attack pieces. Then I'm going to do the bottom pieces as attack pieces. Bottom piece as attack piece, right? And then I'm going to go my middle piece as crit pieces. Now, again, if I want to go attack crit, I can go attack defense if you want. Basically, I can pick anything that has a 2 set, right? But for sake of normality, I'm going to go with attack crit. Your general rule of thumb is attack crit for your damage dealers, HP defense for your slightly tankier units, or units you just want CC on. So I'll cover some anomalies further down, but basically now we're going to go here and we're going to go crit, and we're going to go crit, right? Now, as you can see, I've got my attack increase of 20%, and I've got my crit damage increase of 20%. Now, these are 5-star pieces, and I've used these for that. Right, so I'm good. So now means that my attack rolls. So if I was going to go out and max all these out, what I would do is I would enhance this to level 5, which consumes enhanced stones and cash. Right, so I'd increase that to here. Right, that's the first step. Then the next step I would do is this. I'd probably want to re-roll this a little bit higher. So there we go, nice high roll. Right, and then I'd come here and I would re-roll this to 2.5, and this will use anvils. Right. So I'll wait for this to quickly reroll. This will then give us the attack stats, right? So then you want to go through and do this for every single piece that you have for that particular unit. It'll take you a fair amount of cash. It could potentially take you a fair amount of resources, right? So it depends on where you want to start. Like I said, I'd start with your Deannes, your Meliodases, your Lizzes, the Escanors, definitely. Escanor and Meliodas are probably definitely the top 2 that I would start with. I'd have an HP defense and an attack crit set for both. But you can always start with one and then do other heroes that you use and then come back, right? So that's the starting point. So that's a really nice rolled piece, and if I want to, I can then engrave it specifically to Frowdren, and it uses engraving stones and awakening stones. All right, and it costs a little bit less at the moment because we're in a festival. So that I then repeat that for all of those pieces, and then I have a really nice attack crit set re-rolled for my Frowdren. Now, would I want an attack crit set on Frowdren, or would I want a HP defense set on Frowdren? Now, the easiest way to kind of start with that is you just click this button here, and it'll tell you, right? That's one of the easiest ways you can go about doing it. As you can see, it's HP defense and it's attack defense for Frowdren. So like I was saying before, because we've actually re-rolled to these stuff, we can actually then use these pieces and we can swap out for defense if we want to, right? So if I'm, again, engraving all of these stuff, it's a really nice way to interchange. Or if you just need to interchange, it's good to kind of have that consistency of top, middle, bottom. Okay. So click there. So let's say you're looking at something like, you're starting off, you want to do your Escanor, right? So like I said, with your Escanor, I have an HP defense set, which is okay actually, but then I also have an attack crit set. Now the reason I have both is there's going to be scenarios, oh, that actually needs to be a bit higher. There's going to be scenarios where I'm going to want the HP defense, and then there's the scenarios where I'm going to want the attack crit. Now, perfect. Now, let's have a quick look. So as you can, this will also affect your CC as well. So we're looking at 72k CC with attack crit with lots of different rolls. And then we're going to run HP defense. And this should adjust. I've got different percentages. There we go, 75k CC. So HP defense is by far your highest in terms of what's going to give you the most CC out of your heroes. And again, with attack, defense, HP rolls, right? That's going to give you the highest CC, which is going to be really helpful in things like PvP, where maybe you want to go first. Right? Whereas in PvE, we're going first, well, where it's a lot harder to not go first, / I'm not as fussed about just how high my overall CC is, I'm going to run attack crit, because then I'm going to do more damage, right? So again, HP defense means you're going to have higher HP and higher defense, which means you're going to be harder to kill. Attack crit damage means you're going to do more damage and you're going to dish out more punishment, right? So it really depends in certain scenarios like this, whether you're going to want to run attack crit or HP defense. For things that are obviously like, you know, your DPS units, you're going to want to run attack crit, right? And then for things that are going to be like your tanking units, you're going to want to run HP defense, right? So Deanna's a taunt, she's designed to take damage, so I want her as tanky as possible. So HP defense is going to be really, really good, and it also means that I'm going to, you come here, HP defense and attack defense, right? So what this means is she's going to be able to tank a lot of hits for me, and she's going to be tanky, right? Whereas then if I, you know, for example, if I have Deanne, I can then maybe pair it with Melly, who I want to do a lot of damage, right? On, like, let's say, the bird, for example, right? Just using a random example. You can then taunt up with Deanne, and then your Melly is then going to do a lot of damage because he's on attack crit. Again, you can come here, attack crit, HP defense, right? And again, it depends on the certain scenarios. It does actually tell you sometimes recommended teams, right? So you can use them for Ratatosk, right? You can use them for Hell, Deathmatch Demon. Like, all of this stuff is actually quite helpful. It'll help you build out teams for different scenarios as well, right? So this is all super helpful. This is actually relatively new, I think, or I just haven't used this before. Okay, I've covered most of the main pieces. When are you going to use things like, well, actually, before I move on, there are going to be some times where maybe you want to re-roll to something different, right? So for example, if we come down to Boulder. So Boulder, Gelder are all examples of heroes that don't actually scale off attack. So you'll notice that when you're using a hero, most heroes' attack cards will scale off their attack. So that's why when you do this, you want to re-roll these to attack, because the higher your attack, the more damage you do, right? Whereas if you come down to a unit like Boulder or like Gelder, all of hers actually scale off max HP, right? So what this means is you obviously want to invest heavily in the HP rolls, but then the attack rolls here don't really make as much difference. So for me, what I've done is I've actually changed this, and I've re-rolled this to crit chance and pierce rate. So that means that it's not going to take away anything from my damage. I will lose a bit of CC, because having attack rolls here will give me a higher CC. What this means is that when she goes to do damage, because it's not scaled off, it's scaled off HP, which means they're already 14% rolls, I'm going to get an increase in crit chance and pierce rate. So it means I'm actually going to do more damage with Gelder when I go into a fight, right? Same thing with something like Boulder. Where's Boulder? Now, this is interesting because Boulder's actually scaled off defense, right? Defense, defense, and then defense. So what this means is because defense is actually a 2-piece set, I can run triple defense on Boulder. Again, it's going to affect my CC, right? Because HP defense will give me the highest CC out of any equipment I can gear, but this will give me a 60% increase to defense. And my defense rolls are really, really high, right? Again, same thing with my top pieces. Because my hero doesn't scale off attack, then I can change this to crit damage, and I probably should put crit chance in here as well, to be honest, but this will give me crit damage. So when I do crit, I'll do more damage, right? Again, HP rolls just for survivability, but this will allow me to do more damage when I use the unit at a slight sacrifice of HP. But again, for units like this, who enjoy going second because they automatically have a taunt, that's fine. So there's going to be scenarios where you're going to have different units for different things. Same thing with things like, where is my Albedo? Albedo, right? I have her on HP, actually crit defense. Now, crit defense will reduce the amount of damage you take when you get critical hit. Now, the reason I've done this, again, is because Albedo has a taunt, so she likes to go second. Her damage is good, but like I'm not super fussed about how much she puts out. So yeah, so she's got HP defense as well, but what this means is that when I go into a fight, if I get crit by, let's say, at the time it was a tier, let's say it's a Millim at the moment, like whatever, or let's say it's a Lancelot, whatever it is, it means I'll take less damage from that, which means I'm more likely to tank it. So this, combined with the Tamil link, will actually make her quite strong, again at the sacrifice of some CC and just normal defensive stats, right? But I found that this crit defense is helpful. Now, saying that, you can definitely just use HP defense on Albedo and you'll be fine. I just liked the crit defense because it provides with a little bit of extra tank ability when she just got crit so often, right? So, quick recap. Gearing, it does sound a little bit complicated and there is a bit to it, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty straightforward. I basically you want to run HP defense on most units, transparently, right? Even on the new Lancelot unit, I have HP defense. Although he is an attack unit and he does do damage for me, I might make him an attack crit set at some point, but because I want to go first and I use him mainly in PvP, I want to have HP defense, because he still does decent damage without his attack crit gear, right? And I haven't used him really for PvE yet. If I started using him more seriously for PvE, I'd probably make him an attack crit set. Right? Same thing with things like Xion, wherever my Xion is. I only use her for PvE, right? So I know I'm going to go first on the bird anyway, so I've just given her attack crit because I wanted to dish out as much damage as I possibly can. So HP defense and attack crit will generally serve you right for 99% of the units. There's a few units like Gelder, Boulder, the original blue Tamil that will scale off things like defense and HP. Purgatory Barn is a great example, right? So I mentioned before that I gave my Barn specific gear, right? So on Barn, I actually have it on attack crit up here, and then I have HP defense here, right? So what this means is when I go to use Purgatory Barn, for example, I have crit pieces. If I've given double crit pieces, that's fine. So then I have crit pieces, actually, and I'll explain why, right? So let's go HP defense here, right? With attack rolls, defense, HP, right? Standard. Same thing here, attack, defense, HP, right? Standard rolls. Then if we move to here, because this Barn actually scales off HP, I don't really care if he has attack stats here. So I've got crit chance, crit damage, and crit chance, crit damage rolls on these two pieces. So what this means is then I can then swap out these HP pieces here to Barn, so then it'll give him HP crit gear, so it means he'll do more damage in the fight. Right, again, I did originally have this on Gelder as well, so you can run this for Gelder. I just found defense pieces made her a little bit stronger, because obviously you want Gelder to survive, and then the longer she survives, the more tanky she becomes, etc. Whereas Barn is about this big one hit, or was. He's fallen off a lot as well, as we know, unfortunately. An ally unit for this would be awesome. But yeah, so then I can switch out those HP rolls, then I suddenly have HP crit damage, right? Which means I do more crit damage, with more crit damage and crit chance, and then that'll make it a more powerful Barn, right? So, like I said, once you establish the characters, most characters are going to be based off attack, right? Off attack. So you're going to be able to look at them and go, okay, you know, for example, Galland, as useless as he is, hero's defense related stats increased by 20%, and he coerces one enemy, which means they can only target Galland. So Galland's a tanking unit for me. and he scales off attack. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give him HP defense because he is a tank unit, but I'm going to give him attack rolls up here. Same thing with here, HP, defense, defense. So that's generally how you want to gear your units. What you do want to do, you want to get to a point where you gear all your units. Even if you don't use them, it'll really help your overall box CC. And also, if you get these ones, these free ones, we get a lot, the 15% max SR gears, then they are better to put on your units than something like this. Right, they'll give you more CC overall. I just have OCD and I need to have everyone with SSR gear. My goal is to have all of these eventually completely maxed out. But yeah, that's a me OCD problem. So if you do have these pieces, which I have quite a few of, I've got what, 5 sets? Yeah, definitely put these on your units because they'll give you more DPS. You can even put them on your bigger units. Another thing to call out is when you engrave them, the gear will always upgrade by 1. So this is UR, for example, right? Whereas if you use, let's say this SR unit stuff, then you hit engrave, this will go up to SSR and engraved, right? So I like the UR gear for, obviously when you're eventually going to engrave it, but when you're just equipping it just for the additional box CC or damage or something, use these pieces. Okay. So, quick wrap, attack pieces in the top, defense pieces in the middle, defense-related pieces in the middle, and then HP-related pieces at the bottom. This side does give you more attack and defense and HP-related stats than this side, right? So these are the stronger pieces. So if you're going to engrave a certain set of pieces first, do these ones. HP will also give you the most CC out of anything. So if you're looking at engraving first, I'd probably go the HP pieces first, then I'd go the attack pieces, then the defense pieces. But again, this side will give you more than this side, as you can see, right? So 15, basically double. Yeah, basically double. So these are the stronger pieces, and these are the accessory pieces. I think that's it, guys. I think that's everything on gearing units. If you guys do like this, type of content, I can definitely do more around Super Awakening, True Awakening, leveling up, different team building, etc. So if you do like the content, show us some love. If you made it this far, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you so much, and as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one.